Vernomatic Productions.
Are you ready?
Live from the Metal Mayhem Studios in Rochester, New York.
We are gold.
And heard around the world by metalheads just like you. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Heavy metal music.
Your weekly dose of metal music, interviews, album reviews, news, and more. Want to be part of the show? Send us a message through our website, metalmayhemroc.com, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Search Metal Mayhem ROC, a proud member of the Pantheon podcast team.
It's getting nice and heavy.
Now, welcome our hosts, John the Vernomatic Verno, and direct from New Jersey, Metal Walt.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's enjoying the month of Rocktober as much as we have. Pumping out a couple episodes a week never gets old. Well, tonight we welcome back two of our old metal buddies, Bobby Blitz Ellsworth of Overkill and Jarvis Leatherby of Night Demon. The two bands have just secured the opening slot for the North American King Diamond Tour that kicks off October 15th. Well, Jarvis and Blitz are here to talk about how Overkill and Night Demon scored that King Diamond Tour. They share behind-the-scene logistics of King's epic stage setup. Bobby gives us an update on Dee Dee Verney's shoulders and how new drummer Jeramie Kling's working out. Jarvis talks about balancing the Night Demon Tour and the Cirith Ungol Tour. He's doing double duty. And what's next for both Overkill and Night Demon in 2025? As always, we take our walk down heavy metal memory lane. Blitz shares the behind-the-scenes story of how they secured that Metallica New Jersey parking lot gig last summer. And Jarvis talks about going back in time and when he saw Overkill open up for Iron Maiden. Some interesting tidbits from the past. But before we dive into that, we invite you to check out our merch page at Metal Mayhem ROC. Hey, man, with the weather changing, we got some hoodies up there. Hats are on their way. We got shirts, posters, phone cases. Again, that's metalmayhemroc.com. While you're there, sign up for our weekly newsletter to stay in the loop on new episodes, interviews, reviews, and reminders about the live radio show I do on Monday nights on Metal Devastation Radio. If you missed recent episodes, last week we had a couple of them. We had the Eddie Van Halen 4-year death special. Superfan Dave Dieter and I relived our concert memories from the first 6 Van Halen tours. We had Jesse Fink with his new book, Bond, Notes from the Highway. We had Conquest, up-and-coming band from the Chicago area. Derek Brumley, their guitarist and vocalist, was on. And we had Ken Tamplin discussing his work with Kiss and training rock's top vocalists. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to subscribe to the pod and leave a review. It really does help us grow, and we will read it in future episodes. Now, let's keep the Rocktober celebration rolling with Bobby Blitz of Overkill, Jarvis Leatherby of Night Demon, just in time for their North American tour with King Diamond, kicking off in Texas on October 15th. For my co-host, Metal Walt, I'm the Vernomatic, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC. All right, well, it's the fall of 2024. Halloween's right around the corner, and there's a really great tour starting. King Diamond, Overkill, Night Demon, October 15th. We have Bobby Blitz and Jarvis here. Guys, welcome back to the show. Good to see you two.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, good to be here, man. Sorry about the holdup. Get this rolling on now.
Bobby, you're a veteran. You and King and Fate jammed together 40 years ago. Night Demon's 20 years into their career. How did this come about?
10. Thank you, though. Yeah.
Well, last time we talked, I said, a newcomer, you go, I've been around a while, so I wanted to give you your props. But so how did all this come about?
Well, on our end, we were in South America. It was a bunch of festivals, etc. And my agent got to me on the second show and said that this was a possibility. Dee Dee Verney didn't make it. He was rehabbing. We had David Ellison playing with us. So I got on the phone with Dee Dee and we were both like, let's go grab this thing. Let's just try to wrap it up. And this was as far back as the buzz for us started somewhere around April. That's when that South American tour happens. And I remember it being the second show. I think we were in Mexico City doing a festival with like I think Biohazard was on there, a bunch of other bands, Death Angel, et cetera, et cetera. It was like this whole metal hardcore kind of a thing going through that continent, and it just kind of lingered for a while, and we bid on it right away, but we didn't get confirmation until probably 6 weeks, 7 weeks later, somewhere into June.
How about you, Jarvis? How'd you guys get on this bill?
Kind of a similar situation. We were on tour in April out with Blind Guardian, and I got a text from King's agent saying, "What are you doing this fall?" And I said, "A lot." And it's like, "What specifically?" And I said, "Well, we have a shitload of one-offs." And he brought up, "Well, this isn't an offer, but this is you're in the running for King Diamond and as one of three." And for the opening slot. And so I said, "Okay, well, let me know how serious this is, and we'll see what we can do." We've never been a band to really cancel shows. We like to honor our commitments. I've been doing this for a really long time. And, the fans that show up and buy tickets, they don't care, what bill you're on. They want to come and see you, so we were lucky enough that we were able to reschedule a lot of these shows. We didn't cancel anything. We were able to move it, and people understood it's a great tour to be on. And I'm glad that we get to do both. But yeah, like Bobby said, it took a while for things to come through. So I had to be that annoying guy and say, "Hey, there's 19 promoters that think that we're doing something with them this fall. Can you just tell us?" And they basically said, "Yeah, you guys, you've got it." So here we are.
So you guys, I'm just curious, because how does that all work behind the scenes? Because you guys are all on different labels, you're all touring at different parts of the year, and different, everything's going on separately. So Jarvis, when you said somebody reached out to you, is it almost like right of first refusal where they say, "Okay, Jarvis, if it lines up for you, you're in"? Or is it like, we're going to kind of kick the tires on 10 different bands and see, and then make a selection?
Well, not necessarily. If it's nothing's done until you have an offer. So you have money on the table and dates and an official commitment like that. As a lot of people in this business love to talk. And so we've a lot of things are offered, but until they're officially offered, nothing's happening. So but. Again, that's kind of like why I had to be a bit pushy, and you don't want to be pushy when you get the opportunity of a lifetime. It's a difficult situation to be in, but a lot of other people are, being in bands like this. There's a lot of other things on the table. A lot of people are involved, and a lot of people's livelihoods are involved. We've got crew and all this stuff too. And like I said, we just want to be somebody who can honor our commitments. And it sucks. We've had to turn great things down before because it didn't work out. Luckily, this did, and we were able to work with some understanding people that would reschedule some of these dates. And here we are. It's a great thing.
And besides the point, you got to realize, King's been around for a long time. I know Kim from the early days, and, we've done festivals together. We've always had a friendly kind of an honest relationship. I'm not going to say we send each other Christmas cards or satanic cards or whatever, but we've always had a decent relationship. And, his reputation speaks for himself. He just ran through the States selling it out with Merciful Fate. We were wide-eyed to that tour. We were like, wow, what a great tour that would have been to be on. And you do a little research, and regardless of Merciful Fate being this iconic kind of underground legacy band, King Diamond was actually a bigger band. That was really, they had a bigger pull and sell because they came in on the tails of that Merciful Fate thing, and they really cashed it in at a higher level with regard to popularity. So, his reputation really speaks for itself. So, when people with rep talk, it really gets people's attention, like Jarvis and myself, I'm sure, because it's not just blowing smoke up your ass. It's something that's like, hey, we want to fucking do this tour. We want to make it happen. We want to make it happen at a high level, man. And look at this bill. It's like as old school as you can fucking get. And on top of that, there's 3 distinct differences between the bands, which I think is necessary in the modern era to attract that wide scale audience.
You really think solo King is more maybe sales popular or popularity than Merciful Fate?
I just did. The only reason I say this is because I just did a little research on it. I mean, I looked it up.
Yeah.
And it was with regard to sales, or at least it says so, for instance, on the internet, so it can't be a lie, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I know. What's your favorite of the two, Fate or Diamond?
Well, I mean, I like the old school stuff because that's where I kind of come from, But I think there's a huge similarity between the two bands, to a large degree, and and being kind of a fan of some of the horror stuff, to be able to do something like Abigail or Fatal Portrait where it's actually a continuous story, I think is actually a cool presentation, especially in something like our scene collectively.
It's funny because John and I were talking too, and again, back to the triple bill, old school, great metal, Metallica goes and announces the next leg of the tour. And, here they are bringing out yet more diverse acts. I mean, whether you like them or not, they're booking now Limp Bizkit out there in the 2025 tour. And it's like, I don't know, maybe there's, for those traditional metalists in us, we just want to say, man, can't you go out and bring us Saxon and Raven next summer? You skip some of these other bands, So this is like a breath of fresh air. By the way, Bobby, speaking of Metallica, John and I were up in Boston earlier in August. We were up in the VIP room and we ran into your buddy Charlie. I don't know his last name, but Charlie, he says, you got to tell Blitz I said, hi, man, I'm the guy that inspired the mascot. I am Charlie.
His name is Bobby Ojo. He's a Jersey boy from the Old Bridge Metal Militia. And there was so many Bobs around that he used to call everybody Charlie. And he was our first stage manager. And he would say, hey, Dee Blitz, you want me to put Charlie up behind the drum kit? And he was talking about our banner with the big bat. So that's how it got its name, was through Charlie.
Thinking too, Blitz, I covered the Metal Legion show at the Starland Ballroom only a couple of weeks ago, and we had Alex Skolnick on, and he says, well, unfortunately Bobby's going to be in Europe touring, but Mark Tornillo was there, and then Mark's not there because they're out touring. So we were there, we covered it, man, but I don't know, there was a little bit of Jerseyism missing there without the two of you guys.
It was just wrong. Mengi should have went back to New York where he belongs.
Well, listen, I want to contribute to that because I have an old friend of yours, Big John Winters.
Yep.
Used to do sound for you. He's up here in Rochester, and I've done work with him in the past. He sends his hellos.
That's great. Give him my best. I'll tell you that's the home of comfort food in the winter, right? Isn't there a place called the Garbage Plate up there or something?
Yeah. Nick Tahoe's the Garbage Plate.
We stopped there with Joe Camo after one of the tours, and it's like French fries and macaroni salad and hot dogs all put into one thing. It's just, I don't know how you guys aren't all like 600 pounds up there.
Well, we do our best. But yeah, the Garbage Plate, Buffalo has the chicken wings. We have the House of Guitars. We have the Penny Arcade. We've gone down this road before. So both bands have been out promoting Scorched for Overkill, The Outsider for Night Demon. Is this a continuation of this tour? And if you didn't have these dates, were these bands going to be touring continuously more for these releases?
For us, yeah. I mean, our tour cycles are generally pretty long. I mean, we don't do. We put out an album every few years, and I know, I won't speak for Bobby, but the Overkill album is pretty new, so, and I know those guys tour a lot. And like I said, yeah, we had dates already booked. So yeah, we're going through next year, this is a good one to get,
I was looking at your tour itineraries because you guys both toured very heavily in Europe this summer, but it looks like you guys actually, your paths crossed. You played a festival in Italy not too long ago there where you're all on the same bill.
Yeah, we were on alternating days though. So yeah, but that's how it rolls. It's like we've all got gigs every day. So it's not like, you could just hang out all weekend and see everybody either, so but that's how it rolls, man. Every day before Bobby came on, we were talking about that. You guys were kind of asking what was up, but yeah, it's the travel, man. It's the travel that is just it's the silent killer, the being on stage is fucking awesome. But, getting from place to place, every day is just, that's the grind, that's the grinding wheel, as we say,
I think that the key is to stay healthy if you're going to do every day. I mean, we call them hit and runs. You're in there somewhere around 11 in the morning. You're taking a shower by 2. You're doing your sound check. You're out of there by 2 o'clock in the morning. And you're off to the next place. As long as you stay healthy, you can make it happen. But if you start getting worn down, boy, man, that is just a drag.
Absolutely.
We can never tell where you guys are. It's kind of funny, Bobby. You'll answer and you'll be like, yeah, Walt, I'll hit you up next week, but I'm in Spain this week, but then I'm back home and I'm looking at, I can't even figure out where you are. And Jarvis, John and I laugh because we don't know where you live. Are you like a California guy? I'm in Ireland this time, in the UK this time.
Yeah,
have bag will travel, right?
Yeah, I'm from California. I still have my place out there, but I've been living in Northern Ireland since the pandemic. So I'm here right now. I actually have 1 week off, and then 3 months straight. But yeah, it's bitching. I love it out here. So it's good. It's a good change. But I just go back and forth when I'm not on the road, which is rare. Actually, I got a massage today. I got like this woman out here who does this great sports massage. It's awesome when you get off tour. And she was like, oh, you must see so many great places. And I told her today, you have to go to a city about 10 or 12 times when you tour to really, soak it in. Every time you hopefully can see one little thing, but like Bobby said, it's show up, load in early, set everything up, sound check, get some rest if you can, do the show, and then move it along.
Ironically, both bands have some new members. Bob, how's the new drummer fitting in, and how is Dee Dee's health? Because he's dealing with that shoulder.
Well, we'll start with the health first. We're pushing it. He's pushing it. It's he's cleared to play, but not at the repetition is what could rip the rotator cuff again. Now, the issue that he has is that the right one has been done twice now. So this is his second operation or second reconnection of the cuff. While this was happening, he ripped the left. Yeah. So he's kind of this marionette, you might want to say, That said, he did most of the European tour, and we're hoping that he does all of what's coming up for us. I mean, if not, we always have somebody in the wings that can walk in. But he's the stuff in Europe was good. We just got back from the New England Metal and Hardcore Fest. We just played that 2 days ago. He was fine then. There was no pain afterwards. So we're really optimistic that he can do the entire tour. The new drummer is actually an old friend of ours. He started with us back in the 2010 era. I think it was the Ironbound record. And that's Jeramie Kling. He moved on from us into a band called The Absence out of Florida. From there into Venom Inc. And we've always been in touch with the guy. He's always been a great drummer. And he's kind of brought a little more of the swing back to what Overkill used to be. Overkill used to have a little of this going on, that sideways movement, especially with regard to the beat. It wasn't just this bombastic kind of a computerized sound. It was more of a natural sound. And I think that's what Jeramie brings back to us. He's a really hard hitter, but he has that little bit of that swing. And he's been with us now for the entire European tour and just did the New England Fest with us, and we'll be doing the entire King Diamond thing.
Awesome.
I can attest to that. I saw the gig in Italy the other night. Yeah, he definitely brings that to it. It's a very American thing, the swing thing too. I mean, we toured with Accept too, and as great as they are, and the whole Teutonic thing, we always made when Uli John Roth did that live album with us, he was really happy because he thought our drummer was German at first, and he said Germans can't swing. Thank God your drummer. So thank God your drummer's an American guy. We're so regimented over in Germany. You need a little bit of that looseness. That American vibe to it. So yeah, I can attest to that. There was definitely some of that in the set. It was very rock and roll. Yeah,
I mean, I love it. I mean, I always think in terms of that. Myself, and when I think of like how the thrash genre had started with regard to drumming. And you think of guys like Dave Lombardo, everybody thought he was this huge machine, but he could take the Slayer riffs and move them around a little bit like this. And that's really what the attraction was to it, in my opinion, was not just the heaviness of the riff, but the fact that it moved. And that for sure, as like Jarvis said, is an absolute American kind of a thing.
Well, Lombardo with those Cuban roots, you know, he has that swing. You're right.
Jarvis, are you still performing with Cirith Ungol as well? You're still pulling double duty on that one?
Yeah, I was doing double duty this whole last week. We were doing flying gigs and both bands were playing. So I was doing 2 sets a night. But yeah, they're on a farewell tour right now. They're hanging it up. We'll see what happens in the future. We might pull a Kiss or a Motley Crue thing. There was no contract signed, however. But yeah, you know, I mean, those guys are near 70 years old and have had a great comeback. Nobody thought they would ever see them again. The band's playing at a very high level, but we've gotten to do a lot of things that were on the bucket list for the band this last year. We've still got a lot more to go. As a matter of fact, on the off days on the King Diamond tour, Night Demon's either playing with Overkill on some side shows, or we're doing a Cirith Ungol gig, like in the case of New York and Boston. Actually, between the Salt Lake show and the Vancouver show, there's a day off. We have to fly to Mexico to do one gig with them. So we're staying busy, man. Yeah.
Well, what about the set lists? Are you either band's mixing it up, Bob? I know you have your staple set. Any deeper into the Scorched album?
You can't really, you know, I mean, we're going to get 45 or 50 minutes. It's not like you have a lot of time to start experimentation. It's really about hit them as hard as you can right between the eyes and move on, you know, leave a little bit of an impact. You know, there's not going to be any 8-minute songs, for instance, under those circumstances. You know, we're even looking at the 6-minute songs and saying, maybe we ought to cut a couple of those. So if you're talking 45 minutes, you're talking about 9 songs. So it's got to be kind of some of the classic stuff. We still will play a couple off of the Scorched record. We'll open with Scorched. We'll have the Surgeon in there. We're going to some places we haven't been in a while too. So that's going to be kind of cool to even just be able to present some of the newer record as opposed to just the old stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, we've got a 30-minute set. So, I mean, that gets tough. You know, our songs are short, which is cool. You know, we write very short tunes, but we're going to lean old school because our fans have seen us tour this new record for about 1.5 years. It's a concept album where we've been playing the entire thing plus classics. But I saw King Diamond in concert the first year that Night Demon was touring 10 years ago, 2014. And at that time, I felt we were the opening act for that show. So I'm going to basically take our early catalog of what we had then and do it 10 years later. So, you know, our fans that show up, they know what we have, but we're going to be playing to a lot of people who have no idea who we are. So we're going to show them kind of the origins of what the band was. I mean, we still love those songs and we still play them live anyway. So it's going to lean heavier towards the early Night Demon stuff, which is, at that time we were looking to Merciful Fate and King Diamond as influences. So it'll fit right in.
I think the really cool thing for your bands being on this tour is the fact that King Diamond hasn't over-toured by any means. Merciful Fate, I mean, this is unique. And for you guys to get on there, I agree with it. You have this shot to kill them. You're exposed to these audiences that, quite honestly, probably half the crowd hasn't seen Overkill or Night Demon. It's the juice of this tour for you guys. I'm looking forward to it.
I think that's kind of criminal, especially not seeing Overkill, but you're right. I mean, like, I was a concert promoter in the early 2000s, right when I was out of high school. And I booked Merciful Fate and King Diamond twice in Southern California and had maybe 100 people at each show. I mean, things have come back for him. And I don't know if, there's a lot of true metalheads that'll be there, but some people might be going for the show or for the gimmick or the spectacle, whatever the reason they're there. I think you're going to see these two support acts just blow their faces off. And I think, that's kind of how I think people, it's never too late to get into cool music. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. At any point in your life. And when you can discover a band that's been around for a long time and realize that they have 20 records and they rule like Overkill. I mean, I think that's what I'm looking forward to is the conversion of people on this tour.
Bob, you may be able to comment on this younger generation. We're getting older and they're getting younger. And that's what I meant about they may not have seen Overkill because they may be 15 years old. They may not have seen Overkill and Night Demon, but they've heard of King Diamond. They've heard of Merciful Fate. So that's what I meant by exposing yourself to this young generation. Bob, have you noticed in these crowds, it's not just sweaty old guys like, me and Lance, but younger people that have really, you guys are veterans, you're legends.
Sweaty old guys are what make it happen. You know what I mean? I'm talking music. All right. But the sweaty old guys are what make it happen. The guys in that gray shirt, it's not even black anymore. They have it from the beginning. And it's always spread out from there, I think. But I do see, there is a younger generation that's being exposed to it. And I think that kind of speaks to its the non-disposal kind of a feel with regard to this music. You can't just throw it away. It's not something that is pop. It takes a long time to get into your soul. And by the time it gets into your soul, you can't get rid of the thing. And I think that that's where the younger generation that comes into this kind of a fold, they feel that there's an authentic feel to it. There's realism to it. It's not, again, not disposable. And I remember just a quick story. I was doing a show over in Germany when it was just a few years ago. It was called Bowling. It was Bang Your Head. Actually, the promoter had just passed away this year. So the whole thing is non-existent at this point. In any case, I'm walking across this field. It's totally muddy, and I'm going into this merch tent because this dude did these like cowboy shirts for us, and I just wanted to check the quality of the stuff. And I ran into this family, it was like grandpa, dad, and the little girl, And I speak some Dutch because my ex-wife was Dutch, and the girl said to me in Dutch, "You're my favorite singer." She couldn't have been more than like 11 years old, And the father's like, "Will you take a picture with her?" I'm speaking Dutch to her, which makes it even more so. And I'm holding the kid up like this and taking a picture. And she's going, "You're my favorite singer." I'm going, "This is going to last forever. I got 3 generations of this family." Looking at me. So yes, I can attest to the fact that, youth is where the growth is with regard to the masses, I would say at this point.
Well, guys, King always brings out these elaborate shows. I mean, this one's being billed as St. Lucifer's Hospital setting 1920. John and I saw the Merciful Fate show in Queens a couple of years ago at the King's Theater. That place is like Radio City Music Hall on steroids. Loud. Creator opened that show, and I've never seen a bigger vibe and more people thrashing and pits going on that floor for Creator. It was unbelievable. But for bands like Overkill and Night Demon, I mean, Kane's going to have this elaborate stage. How do they set the stage up? Is it like you guys get kind of moved over to a corner? Because it's not an easy thing for them they can't break their piece down and build it up. It would take them an hour and a half. How does that work?
Yeah, basically what they do is they build their show and leave us downstage room, so front stage room. So the sides are going to be fucked. They're going to be crowded, and they section everything off. They'll have some backdrops. You won't see any of their set until they go on stage. They'll give us hopefully, I think I got a quote of the actual square footage we'll have, but I mean, it's every venue's different. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we'll be up there, especially us. Right. But hey, that's the way I've seen though. I mean, there's when you guys went, right, and you saw Merciful Fate, it's the same kind of setup, right? So like the opening bands had room, right? I mean, it's kind of much of the same. I think he uses the same production manager. One of the bands I managed, Midnight. They were on that tour, so it's the same people. So like I have a pretty good idea of what it's going to be, and it'll be fine. It'll look cool,
His stage set is pretty concise, though. As elaborate as it looks, he's using the space really wisely. So I think that the rest of us can put on our show. Sometimes you get in a situation like that where you get people that they just start building out from the back, and that's not the case here. And I think that we're going to be in a situation where we're going to be able to use a backdrop even to separate ourselves from what his show is. Like Jarvis was saying, it's going to, I don't know if he's going to have a kabuki on top of it, but for sure our backdrop will be up and it'll be hiding his set, and to be able to build it back against the back wall to do something like that is really smart, because it's going to give the opening bands, it's going to give Night Demon and Overkill the opportunity to present ourselves the way we should be presented, as opposed to looking like an opening band just stuck in the corner.
Yeah, it's not like the old days. Like, bands are actually kind of working together now, in the old days, it was like the headliner, when, Riot opens for Blue Oyster Cult, they're like, no monitors, you're in the corner, you're in the front, no lights, that's the sabotaging thing. That's all that shit's pretty much gone now. If bands do that, other people talk, other bands don't want to get involved in that stuff. We're all here to have a good time and respect each other, I think. And they've been really cool people to us.
Well, it's also smart. It's also smart because it's about the event then. He still reaps the benefit of that event, but he presents the event. So it becomes that night that much more special in your head. Not that, one of your favorite bands was jammed over in the corner under a flashlight. It's just, because guys who are like Night Demon fans or Overkill fans who might be coming specifically because we're on the bill go, hey, that's bullshit, that kind of thing. So then you don't reap from the event. But I think under these circumstances, it's just the whole thing is a stroke of genius, because, he just sold out with Merciful Fate all across these venues. Now he's going to do it twice within within an 18-month period. With great bands, how the fuck do you pull that off twice? This is beautiful. It's just a beautiful situation.
Agree.
The tour starts October 15th in San Antonio, makes it up our way, King's Theater again in Brooklyn on the 30th, Boston Halloween on the 31st. When you get down to San Antonio, say hello to our buddy Dave Messner from the Talk Louder podcast. Him and Jason McMaster will be there. They're good guys. Jarvis, great year for the band. How was it with the Bruce Dickinson gig up in California? And give us a little snapshot about the excitement doing the Queensryche tour in 2025. And Bob, expand on your plans, Overkill's plans going forward. You first, Jarvis.
Yeah, sure. Bruce Dickinson was great. It was his only show in the US. That was really fun. He reached out to us through Instagram, which was really weird.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, fine. But yeah, they asked us to do it and it was cool. He was a super nice guy. You never know when you meet your heroes, sometimes people have bad days or just the stress of everything. And he was super cool. And he brought our catering upstairs for us. I don't I don't know. It was like over.
Wow.
It was a good thing. It was a nice gig, and glad we did it. The Queensryche thing, yeah, they're playing their first two releases and going out in Europe. That's another one we've been wanting to get on since we started, and I'm glad they asked us to do it. I think they asked us to do it in Europe because think we're slightly more popular in Europe, as I guess is every metal band, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's so awesome. But up next is this tour. We're continuing in Europe next week for the last of our headlining dates for this album cycle, and then hitting the road. Like I said, we're doing some off dates with Overkill, which will be really fun. Just the two bands, and I hope people come and check those out. We're hitting all those cities in between that the King Tour is not going to. And yeah, look, I'm just looking forward to playing with Overkill. We've done gigs with them. We've done a lot of festivals together in Germany, Mexico. Like I said, this one is just Italy, but we've never had a chance to really meet each other and hang out. And ever since I was a kid, there was they played a show in '87 in my hometown of Ventura, California, at this place called the Poinsettia Pavilion. And that was Screamin' Jay Hawkins played one of his last shows there. But there was this local band, cool, Dark Carnival, and I used to hang out at their rehearsal space when I was a kid, and that's kind of like what got me into music. And they always had the Overkill poster there, and they actually gave it to me, and I still have it. And it's just cool, like one of those things that like a full circle, like life moment. And we're looking forward to going out there and like Bobby said, it's such a great bill. I think this this is like pure entertainment for any metal fan.
Well, we were out there. I remember that we were out there with Megadeth, but we were doing some headline shows too. And we were doing headline shows on the way back.
Right.
The band, like, I think we did the Ventura show, and then the band self-destructed. Right? The drummer quit. He's like, I'm going home. I can't take it. I'm like, we just did the Megadeth tour. Well, sometimes you need to freshen up the laundry, though. You know what I mean?
That shitty show inspired other bands that are still playing. So look at it that way, you know.
Bobby, did you just refer to him as the drummer?
Yeah, he refers to me as the singer still.
Really? Well,
I didn't. I saw. Side note: I saw his film, and it didn't teach me how to do this. I had to learn how to do this. So.
Oh shit!
Great tours. Well, you know what, Walt? Anything before we let these guys get out of here?
No, guys, just always pleasure seeing you guys, and we'll be seeing you in Queens, New York on the 30th. That is going to be a highlight. I can tell you that, man, because if it's anything like that Merciful Fate show, wow.
It's gonna
loud
be great.
and busy and awesome.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Relive the youth.
Exactly.
You know, I do have one question. Walt and I have discussed this. Bob, how did that parking lot gig in MetLife for Metallica really come about? Because they never did any more. They didn't do it this tour. They only did a few. Was it just strictly in New York? But 30 seconds less. How did they come to you, and how did that happen?
Well, they went to TKO, our agent. Metallica wanted to make it a weekend, and I think it was they were just testing the waters with it. They had Prong on the Friday, and they had us on the Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just again, for us, I mean, it was like having 80,000 captive metalheads, maybe we dragged in 10 or 12 of them, or 15,000 in that fenced area. It was just really a fun gig, and it was a paid gig, and it was, the production was decent. It was a small kind of festival stage, but it was just a great experience for us. It was just, the entertainment on the way into the show, but a lot of people came and really participated in the show. I remember you guys standing there by the fence.
Yeah, and it was great. We parked so close, we could have sat it was a hot day, and the rain didn't happen. But yeah, you're right. It was awesome. You see that? The only downside of all that is it made for a long day, But that's the age.
I'm sorry.
But Boston was not the same.
I'm sorry.
Boston was not the same, Bobby. It was not the same. Something was missing in Boston. It wasn't Jersey. That's the bottom line.
It wasn't. Those damn chowds. I've had my fill of them. I'm a Western New York guy, but that was a good time.
I saw Bobby and the guys do kind of the same thing with Maiden in California. I think it was 2016, I believe. And it was fucking great, man. Like it's a totally different vibe, to take it to a different location in the big, huge, outdoor show, and like have a band like that. I mean, it was awesome.
Jarvis, I remember that show, and I think I said, appearing now live straight from the men's room. It was right next to the toilet, if you remember.
You gotta call those out sometimes. I think I've had some of those. One time when we played 70,000 Tons of Metal, they put us up against the All-Star Jam, and I thank the audience for coming out to see us and skipping the show of the bands playing songs from all the bands that the boat couldn't afford.
2016.
Amazing.
So, all right, hey, listeners, just want to remind you, get up to the website, metalmayhemroc.com. Visit the new merch page. Tons of new Metal Mayhem merch. Excellently priced. And download some past episodes, leave a review, and all that kind of stuff. For our guest, Bobby Blitz from Overkill, Jarvis Leatherby from Night Demon, my co-host, Metal Walt, I'm the Vernomatic, and get out on tour, King Diamond, Overkill, and Night Demon, starting America October 15th. Guys, horns up, and thanks for your time.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, boys. See you in a couple weeks, Jarvis.
See ya, man.
Hey, guys.
See ya, Bob.
See you guys.
Metal for life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.